So I was a session player before I started scoring movies.
Yes.
So I played on a lot of soundtracks for movies as well. And when I first started conducting, I had this moment where, the players all file in. They don't even care who the composer is. They're just going to do their gig and go home, right? And I'm up on the podium, and I remember one guy coming up to me saying, "Richard, what are you doing?" Well, no, what do you get? You're going to get in trouble. No, I'm the composer today. What? And I used to get, especially those first handful of film scores I did, which was like 75, 85 piece orchestras.
Wow.
And I used to
What a
get
thrill.
so excited conducting that I would get lost in my own score. I wrote the music and I'm conducting and I'm like, wow. And I'm like dancing on the podium. Like, this is the coolest thing ever.
And you've had so many amazing artists, right? Haven't you had
And they
Lady
keep coming back.
Gaga,
Lady
Coldplay?
Gaga, Pink, Coldplay, Barbra Streisand, Chance the Rapper, RZA, more recently Dua Lipa.
Haven't you had Barbra Streisand, did I hear?
Many times.
Wow, you see, it is the Dream Studio in Malibu, right?
Well, I think it's the Dream Studio anyway, for anywhere for me. Armory of Harmony, you can look it up online, armoryofharmony.com. What we do is gather gunmetal from these buyback programs that police departments all around the country run. They buy back, they're just trying to get guns off the street. And they grind them up and smelt them down. Well, we get the gunmetal before it gets mixed in with other scrap metals. So it's pure gun steel. And then give it to instrument manufacturers to make musical instruments, utilizing the gunmetal.
What a vision.
And then giving them to high schools around the country.
Wow. Well, what a pleasure and an honor to have Richard Gibbs here.
I just came out of hair and makeup. I'm all ready.
I love your jacket. It's flamboyant. I love it. I love fashion.
John Varvatos.
John Varvatos. It's gorgeous. You have such a prolific career, 45 years as a force of nature in the music industry. You've done more than 70 movie...
feature film scores, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And then I think I read 150 albums you'd played on?
Probably more like 200, actually.
More than 200, including people like Aretha Franklin and Robert Palmer.
I got to clarify.
Okay.
I never met or played with Aretha. I did some arrangements that ended up on one of her albums.
Wow.
I did arrangements for a friend of mine who's a songwriter and asked me to write down, and so I did the arrangements for it.
Wow, but that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, her arrangements are like second to none. I mean, you've had this really amazing music career, but you've also given so much to us locally with the Composer's Breakfast, with the Woodshed. You're also a dad, a surfer, a dog dad.
I'm a granddad.
You're a granddad. Where should we start? There's so much to the most amazing life you've been living. You're like Malibu royalty at this point. Everybody really loves you. So
that's very kind of you to say. But one of the things that I'm proudest of was that for 9 years, I was the beach master of Point Dume.
Really?
Yeah, on the board, right?
What does the beach master do?
Fuck all, really. But but really, what there's a board that handles the gate, right, and the pathway to the beach. And the beach master is, I guess, theoretically the lowest on the totem pole. But they kept saying, "Do you want to move up?" No, I want to stay beach master because I like the title. I just like that title. And the beach master is in charge of keeping the trail clean and clear and doing repairs that need to be done. And that means you hire somebody else to do it. You don't do it yourself. But I loved doing that. And I used to go down, you get to a certain age, you don't feel like fighting crowds when you're out surfing.
Yeah.
So I tend to go like early in the morning or in the evening out surf until dark. A lot of times I'm the last person out. This has happened a couple times. One time I'm out in the middle of the day, which is rare for me, and you hear guys talking. surfing is like Malibu's version of golf. It's how you meet people,
Right. I've
right?
often wondered if there's some kind of pecking order or men's club or how.
There's two different types of pecking order. There's the pecking order. The real one in the water is who's the better surfer,
Mm,
who knows where to position themselves and what to do,
mm,
right? Which feeds into the story. So, but you hear guys talking out in the water while they're
mm,
waiting for waves. There's a lot of downtime, right?
mhm.
And you hear guys they're talking about the film industry or the record industry, and I'm just kind of bobbing around on the waves, and I'll just kind of get over a little closer, and I'll wait till there's an entry point, and they say, "Oh yeah, you worked on that movie?" And I say, "Yeah, well I did too." And guys always do this. Forgive me, this dick measuring thing, like, "Oh, who are you really?" Like, sorry to be crude about it, but it's real,
Mhm.
right? It's like, "Oh
Girls
yeah."
do it in their own way as well.
I'm aware. I do know that. So it's like, well, what do you do? Like this one guy's a cameraman, the other guy's an editor, or whatever, right? And so I'm a film composer. Oh well, what have you done? Here comes the measuring tape, and
Mm.
and and I rattle off a couple different things. I was the composer on Dr. Dolittle. I did Say Anything. I was Battlestar Galactica, whatever I feel like rattling off at the moment. And I go, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Well, what's your background?" I said, "Well, I was a keyboard player in Oingo Boingo." "Oh, wow." And they seemed semi-impressed, right? I said, "Oh, it's okay, cool." And they go, "Well, we never seen you out here." And I said, "Well, actually, I control whether you can come here. So I'm in control of the keys, right?" And, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah, but I don't usually come out in the middle of the day. So we haven't seen you out, right?" I explained to him why. And he said, "But you've probably seen my son out here." And they go, "Your son? Who's your son?" I'm like, "Keegan." "You're Keegan's dad?" And also my stature goes from here to there
Oh, that's wonderful.
immediately. So that long story is to illustrate that's what I'm best known for in Malibu.
Keegan.
I'm Keegan's dad.
Oh my goodness, really? Is
Keegan,
that really true though?
100%.
100%.
With
Because
certain
he's
people,
because he is quite a local hero
he is definitely a local
with
hero.
the fire brigade
Yeah,
and everything that he's doing.
yeah. He's a guy you definitely should interview.
Oh, yes, I definitely got to get him on. So you love surfing.
I do.
You love surfing.
But Keegan's a surfer. I surf. There's a big difference,
Ah,
right? Like I can get out there and,
he's a bit of a hero on the waves, is he, Keegan?
well, I don't know if he would, I'm sure he would hate that word was applied to him, but
Yeah,
he's definitely one, in any given day, one of
very
the
talented.
best surfers in the water, if not the
Wow.
best.
He does all these wonderful things locally, doesn't he? And
Yeah.
he got us all out to go and campaign about, all the deaths on the PCH. And so
Yes.
that was the first time. And I think I mentioned to someone afterwards how handsome Keegan Gibbs was, and the
Takes after his mom.
the girl was like, "Oh my God, he's the best looking man in Malibu." It's funny. Anyway,
Totally takes after his mom.
that's wonderful. So,
I have a funny story about that. So when the kids were little, we have 3 kids, and we're equally proud of all of them. I
yes.
don't mean to just heap all the accolades on Keegan. It was Keegan, Riley, Caitlin,
Mhm,
and we had enrolled the kids at a school called Westland
mhm,
up on Mulholland, like a
mhm,
far drive. And they had an event to welcome the new families, the new parents.
mhm.
And it was this big picnic. And Linda couldn't go. So, because she had to go to a wedding or something else, she says, "Well, you got to handle this one." I go, "Oh, God, okay." So me and 3 kids, they were, I think at the time, it was like 6, 8, and 10, something like that. 3 little towheads, right? And I'm sitting on this picnic, but I didn't know anybody there. This woman comes up and says, "You must be the Gibbs family," because we kind of stood out as 3 kids all at once, right?
Mm-mm.
Enrolling in the school. And said, "Yeah, that's right. You're Richard." I said, "That's right." And she looks at the kids. She goes, "Your children are beautiful." And I said, "Thank you so much." And then she looked right at me and said, "Your wife must be gorgeous," and walked away.
Oh my God, that's terrible, isn't it? Oh
It's
my
still true.
Yeah. So what I get when I read all about your career, I listen to the music
Mm.
you've created. You have the most incredible flow and momentum. It's like, how did he do all this? Has surfing helped you with that kind of sense of flow? And
Oh,
it doesn't seem like you had much resistance to just going for it in whichever direction musically you were inspired.
well, that's funny you say that because it surfing has affected my career in a lot of very positive ways.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, I just had a guy speak at CBC,
Hmm.
an old friend of mine I grew up with in Florida, who is was a surf filmmaker. Now he's
Hmm.
like one of the most sought after surf and water cinematographers. He's
Wow.
an amazing
Wow.
he's an amazing surfer himself.
Wow.
And but when he was first starting out, he and his brother, his big brother Bob, lived a block away from me, and I had the biggest record collection on the block. And I had
Mm.
400 albums, which
Mm.
for 16-year-olds is a lot, right?
400 albums. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
I still have some of those. So they came to me because they were doing. Do you know what four walling is? Do you know? Have you ever heard that
No.
expression? This is how Bruce Brown started. You know Bruce Brown.
Mhm.
The Endless Summer dude, right?
Right.
The guy who did the Endless Summer.
Right.
So,
Is it a surf move for walling?
well, no, good guess, but
Non-surfer.
totally wrong. No, no, it's four walling is what Bruce Brown used to do, and a lot of these guys go out and travel the world capturing, great surfers
Right. The most
in different
amazing
locations
footage.
around the
Yeah.
world, and they spend maybe 6 months, 9 months a year doing it. This is what they used to do back in the 50s
Right.
and 60s and
Yeah.
into the 70s. And they'll film on 16 millimeter cameras, and they build water housings for them and film these guys. But the problem with those cameras is that they're MOS, right?
Mm-hmm.
No sound, meet out sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now they come back and edit the best ways, the best shots, whatever they put it together. Bruce would do that, but he has no sound. So he four walling is he would rent like high school auditoriums or gymnasiums or whatever facility was available to him and charge a couple bucks a ticket for surfers to come in and watch the movies, but there wouldn't be any sound. So what he would do is tell stories on top
Oh,
of
beautiful. I
this
love that idea.
and he was became a master storyteller.
Storyteller, right? Yeah.
And but then he also needed music, right?
Beautiful.
So he would put together music and play it on a reel-to-reel tape recorder.
Wow. How lovely.
Well, Ronnie and Bob came to me back
Mm-hmm.
in Daytona Beach
Mm-hmm.
and said, "We're going to do the same kind of thing, but can you put together a soundtrack for us?"
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Yeah, I have no idea how to do this. I didn't even know there was such a job as a film composer."
So this is how you're composing.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
This is how it started. So I said, okay. And I watched the film. They had it all edited together. And I sat with a little stopwatch and timed every scene that we'd put something. And then I'd look for music that would fit in there. And I had a little Radio Shack cassette deck
Wow.
and timed it, would use, with King Crimson or Allman Brothers or James Taylor, whatever it was. I didn't know that was illegal. I didn't know you can't do that. I just didn't know. And so I assembled the whole thing on a cassette, and then I would tour with Ronnie and Bob with their
Oh,
four-walling.
brilliant.
They're doing this four-walling process, and I had a big Fender Showman amp in my little Radio Shack, and we'd say, "Okay, ready to start?" And he'd start the projector, and I'd hit play. And that's when I fell in love with the whole concept of putting music to image,
Mm.
and it was for surf movies.
How old were you when you were
16.
doing 16?
Yeah.
Really early on. Out of all the different, roles you've played in music, what are you most in love with at this point? Is it the playing, the producing, the conducting? Is there anything that you go, oh my God,
Conducting.
the conducting?
Conducting an orchestra,
Yes.
especially a large orchestra, and I've conducted it up to 105 players.
Wow.
It's it's really hard to describe the feeling of all that energy of all those people looking at
I'm
you,
getting chills. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're standing there on a podium
Mm-hmm.
and drop the baton, and go boom. Everybody comes into focus and plays and does what and they're on you.
Yeah.
They're really paying attention to what you do.
It must be absolutely electric.
It is.
Absolutely.
It
Actually, when I listened to your podcast, that was my favorite episode where you talk about conducting and your experiences. It reminds me of the first time I ever heard bossa nova being played, because I recorded a bossa nova album and I was at the Village and I was with Mugi Carnazio, who has 10 Grammys for bossa nova. And I'd been singing rock previously and I fell madly in love with bossa nova. And
Jobim's the best.
oh my God, I recorded with his grandson in Rio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Daniel, he's lovely. And that feeling, some forms of music just take your breath away. You fall in love with them. They're like a magic carpet ride, right? It sounds like that's what conducting was like for you.
Absolutely. I mean, all of it. So I was a session player before I started scoring movies.
Yes.
So I played on a lot of soundtracks for movies as well, and television shows and stuff. So I knew the guys. Like, there's kind of a cadre of maybe 200 musicians back then who did most of the work, right?
Right.
Not just the rhythm section, the wrecking crew guys, but the orchestral players, right? And I was the guy with all the synthesizers kind of adding sounds to everything. And so I knew I was friends with most of these guys. And when I first started conducting, I had this moment where, the players all file in. They don't even care who the composer is. They're just going to do their gig and go home, right? And I'm up on the podium, and I remember one guy coming up to me saying, "Richard, what are you doing?" Well, no, what do you get? You're going to get in trouble. No, I'm the composer today. What? And I used to get, especially those first handful of film scores I did, which was like 75, 85 piece orchestras.
Wow.
And I used to
What a
get
thrill.
so excited conducting that I would get lost in my own score. I wrote the music and I'm conducting and I'm like, wow. And I'm like dancing on the podium. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. To hear, like, I've written the music. I know in my mind's ear what it's going to sound like. I think I do. But then I hear it and it's like, no, this is so much better.
So emotionally moving.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness. How did you get your first composing gig?
I'm the luckiest human you've ever met. I'll tell you right up front.
Right.
I've always had very good luck. I'm the guy who had his bicycle stolen, which is bad luck, right? But the guy who stole my bicycle got hit by a car, and I got the bike back.
Oh, wow. I know, because
he survived, by the way.
I have been wondering, because your career is so prolific, so you feel you've been very lucky.
I know I've been very lucky. Now, the difference is, from me and other people that are lucky, perhaps, is that I know how to deliver on the luck. I grab it with both hands.
You just go for it.
I go for it. Which gets back to you were saying surfing influence. It made me think of another story when I was a session player. And I was playing on a score. Ira Newborn was the composer. I can't remember. I think the movie was called Into the Night or something. It was some kind of a cop thriller or something. But this particular score, there were 3 keyboardists on it. It was a complete badass guy named Ralph Gerson was playing piano. 2-fisted sight reading, like, wow, I could not do that. I'm not that good, right?
Wow.
This guy's complete motherfucker. And it was another keyboard player. And then back then, we all had sequencers as well, computer sequencers. And I pull up this one chart, and it was like, oh, my God. There's a lot of notes, right?
Oh, my gosh.
And it was at a pretty blistering tempo. This is going to be tough. My compadre on the other keyboard chair immediately reaches for a sequencer, and he's just sequencing it in so that he could trigger it, and it would just play. The computer would play it. I had a sequencer too. I had just come back from the North Shore, Hawaii. And any surfer knows this. The one thing you don't do is hesitate. If you're going to drop in on a big wave, you have to just go for it. You don't paddle and go, well, maybe not, because then you just get sucked over the falls and get destroyed. So you just go for it, and you have a much better chance of surviving. Now, I'm not a big wave surfer. I don't mean to make this sound like I'm some amazing Laird Hamilton or something.
Right.
I am far from that.
Right.
But I did get my nerve up and dropping in on waves. And that was what happened on this. So I see my friend who's a better player than I am, but he's sequencing it. I'm not going to cheat like you are. I'm not going to use my sequencer. I'm going to play it. And it was that moment of dropping in on a big wave. That literally was in my head as I'm doing this. You have to go for it.
Yeah.
And I went for it, and I still fucked it up, but I survived.
Right.
They had to do a second take anyway, not just because of me. It was a wickedly difficult piece for the whole orchestra.
Right.
And then the second take, I nailed it. I got it.
Right. So the mindset, it's like
mindset.
feel the force, Luke, and just feel the force and just go for it. I always had this way of like trying to override my stage fright or my. Have you ever suffered from stage fright or nerves? Never.
Never.
You
I don't
seem
know why.
very laid back, very authentic and laid back.
I don't know about that, but I just don't. Boingo, we played at the US Festival twice in front of 600,000 people. If I were to get stage fright, it's if I'm at a birthday party and somebody asks me to play Happy Birthday on the piano.
Really?
Then I get stage fright. Intimate settings are much more intimidating to me. 600,000 people, I feel like I'm playing to a sea of cows.
Really?
They don't exist.
Wow. So you're just, when you're up there with all that amount of energy, you're just flowing, you're surfing the energy. You're going.
I guess so, yeah.
Do you have a favorite performance moment, or do you have a favorite moment in the studio? I know you obviously love studio spaces. I love studio spaces. The Woodshed's such an iconic studio.
Well, I don't love studio spaces per se. And the Woodshed is a reaction to that.
Oh, in what way?
Because we designed it first and foremost for aesthetics and completely for vibe. Most recording studios, wisely, I'm not saying they're not smart about it, they design it for acoustics first. They design for acoustics, for signal flow, what's the best way, where are you going to put the drums, where are you running the wires, how do you deal with acoustics? My thing was, this is in my backyard. This is a place for me to create. I wasn't going to rent it out when I built it. And I said, well, I'm just going to do what feels right to me. And it had this great ocean view. So, well, first off, I'm not going to block the ocean view.
Right.
Can't do that. And, well, glass is a problem acoustically. It's highly reflective.
Right.
That's why you have these curtains around here.
Right,
One of the reasons. It can make for not a great sound. So we had to figure out, well, how do we deal with that? But the point was, first and foremost, we were looking for aesthetics and vibe. The acoustics and the practicality were secondary. We flipped the script.
Wow, how fascinating.
And just because I was building it for me, I didn't think anybody else would like it, but it turns out every musician who comes in and goes, yeah, this is how I want to work.
No, that was my reaction, because I've walked in there a couple of times and I was like, wow. And you've had so many amazing artists, right? Haven't you had Lady Gaga, Coldplay?
Pink, Coldplay, Barbra Streisand, Chance the Rapper, RZA, more recently Dua Lipa.
Haven't you had Barbra Streisand, did I hear?
Many times.
Wow, you see, it is the Dream Studio in Malibu, right?
Well, I think it's the Dream Studio anyway, for me.
Right.
I built it as my dream studio.
No, it's really lovely. And like you said, the vibe is so soulful, and you feel the, intimacy actually there. And so, if I was any one of those bands, that's where I'd want to record.
And you aren't alone. We've amassed a really nice client list.
Really nice, yeah. Isn't that ironic that something that you were just doing for yourself, but you created it from your whole heart? Have you always gone about creating your music in that way as well? Like, do you create from the heart? How do you access all that?
Well, first off, I mean, they say that for any art form. if you're trying, there is a theory that I happen to ascribe to,
Mm-hmm.
that if you're creating for an audience, if you're thinking, what do they want? What do they like? I don't think that works.
Doesn't work.
You have to create for what affects you.
Right.
Where do you come from? If you're telling a story in a screenplay or a book or whatever, it's best you're pulling from your own experience and what's impacted you.
Right.
Right.
So it's all about getting in touch with that. Actually, you remind me, because I was recently doing a little beach cleanup with Chris Martin, lead singer of Coldplay.
Another. He was a longtime client.
He was, huh?
Well, for like 3 years, he was there.
Yeah.
He did all the vocals, or at least most of them, and I think all of them for Head Full of Dreams. He did it in the studio, and he used to come there. He would rent it for 5 days every week, right?
Beautiful.
And just come hang out. Sometimes he'd just come and have lunch and then leave. He just liked hanging there.
Oh, that's great. He's so eccentric.
Chris is a lovely, lovely man.
He's wonderful, isn't he? Well, he asked me to put a little group of people together to go do a beach cleanup. Okay. And I asked everybody around here. Well, of course, 7 women showed up, which was...
Chris is there, yeah.
That was so funny. And he puts his head out of the gate and he says, okay, come on then, let's go. So we went and did this beach cleanup. But as it went, somebody had cleaned the beach before us. So there wasn't actually that much to clean up.
Oh.
So we ended up sitting...
It was probably the beach master.
Yeah, probably was the beach master. But we ended...
My successor.
Yeah, we ended up sitting... So we decided to walk a bit and we all sat down and he was so sweet. All the girls wanted to ask questions, and somebody asked him what was the key to his success, and he said, just like you're saying, if you reach deep, deep, deep inside of you, he said, I don't know how you get there, but if you can listen to that little inner voice that's inside of you and follow it, you will find your success. How have you found ways to tap into that? Because that's not always easy for everybody. Or is it just natural to you?
It is natural to me, but it's also, as a film composer, it's a little different than being Chris Martin or being an Oingo Boingo or anything else. As a film composer, you're a hired gun. I'm a mercenary, and I'm hired to make somebody else's art better. So it's a little different than I'm not given a blank slate and just, hey, write some music. I've got to figure out how to make my art work with his or her art, right? And so it's a different come from, but it's still there. Yeah, it's like if I'm a quick example. I scored a movie called First Kid. Not a huge hit movie, but it was a cute movie. It was good. It was Sinbad plays the Secret Service agent assigned to a brat kid, who's the first kid, the son of the president. And it called for a big orchestral score. So I wrote it for a 95-piece orchestra. We recorded it in Abbey Road. That was a highlight for me. It's Studio One, across the hall from the Beatles studio, Studio 2.
Brilliant.
Studio One's a huge room. 95-piece orchestra. Oh, this is brilliant. I love the sound of the room. The players are amazing. But I was drawing from, which I often do when I'm scoring, when I'm writing orchestrally, I'm drawing from rock and roll stuff. You won't hear it unless I point it out to you.
Right.
But there was a big action scene at the end of that movie, with kind of a heavy scene, and I was musically quoting King Crimson.
Wow, I like King Crimson.
I said, yeah, this really like tritone, with you wouldn't hear it because of everything else that's going on. It's not a direct rip, but if I point out, I get the inspiration, or I'll be inspired. I'll think about Allman Brothers. I'll just think about the twin lead, harmonies and thirds, and write that way.
So as you're reading a scene, you get the scenes, do you, or you get the brief? Things come to you, inspirations come to you, and you just follow that.
Well, normally I'm hired after the movie's been shot and edited. Right. Usually, not always. Queen of the Damned, Jonathan Davis, the singer in Korn, and I were hired before they had shot they hadn't even cast the movie yet. They only had Aaliyah. She was the Queen of the Damned. So in that case, we had a lot of time to think
Mm.
about what the music was going to be, and we got to shape the movie,
Mm.
which is the flip of the norm. The norm
Mm.
is, yeah, you're hired. Okay, here's another surfing and music story for you. Uh, I was hired for Disney to do 101 Dalmatians, Patch's London Adventure, right? It was a sequel to the original 101 animated, not the live action, but animated. Again, went back to London, in that case, recorded George Martin's studio.
I can't remember either.
No, it's
I know he did have his own studio.
It was in a church. Anyway,
That's right. It was in a gorgeous church.
Yes.
That's right.
The point is, in that case, it was animated. And the director said, we need the opening title sequence music so we can animate to it. So literally a blank slate. I had nothing to work with other than what Dalmatians are and, the story of the original. That kind of threw me back on my heels a little bit. It's like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm not reacting to something else. And I'm not coming up with it. And I spent a lot of time sitting at the piano and thinking and still not getting it. So one day I said, that's good. The waves are good at Zuma. I go out at Zuma. I'm out there bobbing around, catch a couple waves. It's an important part of this story. I have very, very bad musical long-term memory. The other reason I'm nervous about playing Happy Birthday. I can't, if you ask me to, I don't have repertoire. I never did, even as a session player. I could sight read, I could create, I come up with cool things, but then you ask me to play what I played yesterday, I don't remember it.
Right, so it just goes through you.
It goes out.
Yeah.
Which is a blessing as a composer.
Yeah.
Because you don't inadvertently copy
keeping
somebody
up
else.
New things all the time rather than storing them.
Because I have to.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, I'm out bobbing around in the waves, and all of a sudden the theme comes to me. Like, oh, I know exactly what it is. And I'm picturing the opening of the Dick Van Dyke Show. That I do have some memory.
Yeah, the bounciness of the Dalmatians, right?
So I came, I know what it is. And I heard the orchestration. I knew what every player was going to play. That doesn't usually happen like that. Like I heard, this is going to be pizzicato strings and marimba and flutes, and they're going da 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 da. This really kind of fun thing. And I heard the counter line to it, what the cellos are going to play, what saxos were going to do, everything. And then it went into a swing section in the middle, and it went back to this goofy stuff. I heard all of it. Now, and I'm just sitting there on my surfboard going, oh my God, that's it. The whole thing came to me. I have terrible musical memory.
I got to get in.
What am I going to do? I'm not going to make it home. By the time I get home, it's gone.
Oh, no.
Even just at Zuma, just as close as I was. Plus the waves were good. So I paddled in back when there were payphones. And I had some, my wallet was on the beach in a towel, and I grabbed some money, called my answering machine at home, and sang all the parts into my answering machine. All the individual parts I sang.
Genius. That's brilliant.
And then went back out surfing.
Oh my God, that's great.
And sure enough, as I'm driving home, I'd forgotten all of it. I can't remember what I came on. I know I liked it. And I got home and I hit play on the answering
It's amazing
machine.
how ingenious you can be when you're...
I don't know if that's ingenious. It's
But like when you're when you're
all
mother invention, that's what
Yeah.
I mean. When you're that desperate to get
Yes.
something done. My first album, Beautiful to Be Alive, I wrote in a cave in the Mojave Desert.
Nice.
I was really into the Jim Morrison thing, so we
Yeah.
were out in the caves. I wasn't doing the drugs, but ironically, the first person I met in the music business out in the Mojave Desert was the lead singer of the Cult, Ian Astbury,
Oh,
and he had also really been into Jim. So I think it's amazing how the universe kind of brings in whoever you're meant to meet next,
it keeps happening.
Is that
to
part of
me.
your luck? That's part of your luck,
It's
right?
a huge part of it. It keeps happening to me every week. Something just drops in my lap that.
I see everything you put out with the Composers Breakfast. You're so supportive to so many people, so many artists. I think it's all the good vibrations you're putting out there.
Well, because it's self-serving. People will often say, "Oh, you're so altruistic." I am not.
You do come across as very altruistic.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm the most selfish person you've ever met.
Really? I don't believe it.
It just happens to be that the things that I want are things that other people want.
Why did you start the Composer's Breakfast here in Malibu? Did you just want a good
Coogie's. Used to be a restaurant called Coogie's here. And it started with a couple other composers here in Malibu, neither one of whom live here full-time anymore. A guy named David Kittay and a guy named Frankie Blue. And we would just get together and pick each other's brains about things every so often. Let's go to lunch. Let's do this. And combined with a couple other things, there was a networking group called Metal that used to exist. Media, entertainment, technology, alpha leaders.
Oh, great.
It wasn't my name. I didn't come up with it.
You didn't come up with it.
And it was men only.
Brilliant.
And the guy and the wives had a different name for the acronym. They said it was Men Endlessly Talking and Lying. Metal. Which I thought was more accurate.
Brilliant.
So I started going to that. I hated the misogyny of men only, but I met a lot of great people through that. And that always stuck in my head. So it's a very cool idea. I'd love to apply it to my world. So that was part of it. The other thing was there were contractors, building contractors that used to meet at this little restaurant that's no more here in Malibu. And they would meet every morning before they'd start to work. Like at 7 a.m, have breakfast together and say, hey, where's the best place to buy 2x4s today? Is Dave Animal have a sale going on? Whatever it is, right?
Lovely camaraderie, right?
Yes.
And a sense of, togetherness. Yeah.
Yeah, they're competitors, but they're not. And I felt the same way. And so I said to my friends, to David and Frankie, said, let's do this every week. Let's have breakfast.
Right.
Every Monday morning. And I wanted to do it like 7 or 8 in the morning. And they're like, no. And I said, well, I'm a surfer. I like getting up early. And I said, no, we're not doing that. So we compromised at 9 and started at Coogie's, just the three of us. And then we said, well, you want to invite some other friends. So it grew organically.
It was organic, yeah.
Entirely.
It is the most lovely thing. When I remember to go, it just kicks your whole week off in the right way. You get to hear someone really inspiring speaking, and then the music. I mean, what better way to start a Monday than hear great music?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really fun to hear great music.
Yeah.
On a Monday morning.
On a Monday morning. That's living life.
Yeah, you're not going to find that anywhere else. But every once in a while, it's like we've had a couple people do like speed metal. It's like,
oh, on a Monday morning, yeah.
Or I had a speaker once. One of the first speakers we had was he was a homicide detective, retired homicide detective.
Yeah, because you have very interesting speakers.
I seek them out.
You do.
And
no, they're inspiring and they're very
Steve Hodel was his name, and he was a retired detective. There was I loved the story. There was a famous case called the Black Dahlia murders. It was a serial killer, like in the 40s, I think, in L.A. There are movies made about the Black Dahlia killer. They never caught the killer. And he was like surgically taking women apart.
Oh,
it was
dear God.
horrific stuff.
Yeah.
So the cops were thinking, this is probably a doctor trained because he knows how to take a body apart.
Right.
Now he's using a scalpel and killing these women and taking them apart and leaving the part and leaving notes, taunting the cops. He was clearly very smart. So they never caught him.
Wow.
Now that was years before Steve Hodel became a cop. He becomes a homicide detective. He retires, and somebody points out and says, Steve, we never told you this, but your father was a prime suspect in the Black Dahlia murders. And he's like, his mind's blown, like, what? Yeah, your father. So he decides now he's going to go clear his father's name, even though his father was never caught. And his father, at that point, was long dead. Now he has access to stuff in the family archives that the cops couldn't get. So he decided he's going to clear his father's name posthumously But the more he digs into it, the more he realizes, oh no, he did it. He
Oh
was
no.
he proved to his satisfaction that his father was the Black Dahlia killer.
Oh no.
And he's telling the story to the Breakfast Club and describing these grisly murders in the kind of just the facts, ma'am, kind of dragnet, like, well, totally dispassionate, totally disconnected.
Right.
And it's like, that's your dad you're talking about. These are murders. And he's just telling the story. And he ended up connecting his dad to a series of other serial murders that happened around the world because his dad kept moving around. His dad was a surgeon. His dad was a doctor.
Wow.
And the last one that Steve thinks his dad committed was the Zodiac killer in San Francisco.
Wow.
Because his father lived there at the time. And he said the MO applies.
I didn't hear that, speaker, but that is a crazy. What were people's reaction?
Well, that's the point. I'm saying it's like Monday morning. It's like speed metal, Steve Hodel. It's like, this is really hard to absorb right now. I've watched the whole room just go, oh.
So you go there on a Monday morning. Do you find that it does inspire the rest of your week creatively, seeing people having a chat? Or is it just a lot of hard work at this point?
Well, the one thing is like as a composer, when you write a piece of music, yeah, it's a joy to hear it played for the first time, but you've had it in your head. You don't get the complete surprise of it, right? That's always fun to hear a new piece of music that you've never heard before, you don't know anything about it. It's like, oh, that's cool, or that sucks, whatever it is. But as the curator, that's the title I prefer,
right,
of the Composers Breakfast Club. Well, now Phil is doing it as well.
Yeah.
I know what's coming to some degree. So I don't get the surprise that you get.
Right. Yeah. No, it is always like a box of chocolates, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always like, wow.
Yeah. So I don't get quite as much, but I know the backstory and everything else.
You lost one of your houses in the Woolsey Fire. Is that correct?
It makes it sound one of my houses like
Oh, sorry. Let's
one of my many estates.
Let's edit that out. So you lost.
No, let's just have fun with it. No,
so you lost your house.
No, people say that to me. You lost your house. No, I know exactly where it is. It's just a lot shorter. It burned. Yeah, our house on Point Doom burned to the ground, but the studio is on the same property, and the fire went over the studio. Did not burn one part of the studio.
How did that happen? How does a fire go over?
Well, I have a podcast episode about that.
Really?
If you dig deeper into that podcast series, it's like the 12th episode. It's the only one that's kind of darker and more serious. All the rest of them are kind of fun stories.
Yeah, especially the red piano. I like that.
Yeah, the red piano. Amazing fire engine red flying piano. Now, this was, the true story of what happened with the studio, why it survived. Now we know. But to break it down, the two biggest factors why the studio survived, people always say, oh, it's the music. And there are all this metaphysical crap. So I don't buy into that. Now we know scientifically why it survived. It's a recording studio. And it's built to the highest standard. If you build a recording studio, it's airtight.
Oh, wow.
Well, if it's airtight, no embers can get in.
Nothing can get in.
And that's usually what happens in a wildfire is embers get into a house or a structure
right,
and then catch a curtain on fire or something else, and we're often running to the races because there's so much oxygen inside.
How fascinating that's what saved it.
That, and equally important, if not more, was my wife's gardening.
Oh, beautiful.
And all the work that she did. She has studied assiduously organic gardening, then biodynamic farming, and then most importantly, regenerative agriculture. And now she teaches that. And,
oh, wonderful.
And she used the grounds around the studio was kind of a experiment ground for her. Well, it turns out if you do that right, you've got super healthy grasses and everything. The roots go way down deep, break up the soil, create what's called a soil carbon sponge. I'm going into her world now.
Wow. That's what saved the studio, all the lovely plants? And...
That grounds around the studio will hold 30 times its weight in water.
Oh, my goodness.
Because of all these super deep roots and super healthy plants. And we had dew the next morning
Hmm.
on the grass outside the studio.
Oh my gosh.
There was mist coming up from the ground.
Wow.
The wildfire is raging, the Woolsey Fire.
How incredible.
There's on the studio website, if you look on the news feed, there's a video of a drone shot that was taken a week after the fire, and you see our property. Everybody, point to them, it's just leveled, right?
Yeah.
At least our block was.
Yeah.
And you see the studio is completely intact, but equally importantly, the grounds to the fence lines are green.
God.
And you go right as soon as you go on the other side of the fence, black.
Gosh.
It's to a fence line.
Wow, that is crazy.
That's science.
That's pretty wild. Did it make you want to give her the whole garden to grow her?
Well, I would have given it to her anyway. She only had so much time,
Yeah.
But she didn't do that work around up. The house is on a different level on the lot.
Mm-hmm.
She hadn't done the work there so much. And plus that house already existed, and it was built to a much, 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 much lower standard.
Right.
It was drafty as
Have you
hell.
rebuilt? Now you're all rebuilt.
We're going to.
You're
Still going through the permit hell right now.
Jeez.
But I don't want to blame the city of Malibu for that because the biggest thing that's taken us so long was lawsuits. We sued. We had to sue State Farm to get our due.
Oh, no.
And then we also sued, like everybody else, including the city of Malibu, sued SCE.
Right.
Because their equipment started the fire.
Oh, my goodness.
And that took a while to resolve the lawsuits. And in the middle of all that was COVID. Courts are shut down. So everything took a long time to resolve.
Yeah.
Before we knew how much money we had to rebuild.
Do you still like a little bit of a good jam?
I never liked jamming.
You never liked jamming?
No. I just, here's why. It always, I'm sure every musician, any musician that listens will go, oh yeah, he's right. It always degenerates at some point down into playing the blues. I friggin' hate playing the blues. And it's either that or you're playing Superstition.
Oh, right.
Everybody plays Superstition and
Right.
jam stuff. I'm so fucking sick and tired of the blues and Superstition. I grew up playing the blues in Florida, doing Allman Brothers stuff, right? That's the Allman Brothers went to my high school.
Oh, no, the only reason I was going to say it was because I met your daughter, Caitlin, on the
Yes.
beach, and I'd been over to your studio one day. She was talking about getting some really great healing arts stuff going. And, I've trained 20 years with the Native American people. I love to do cacao ceremony. I love to do all the 4 directions and all this kind of thing. And she was like, we should do something. And I was like, yeah, let's do full moons. And then we could have a jam session.
Well, you go ahead and do it. Just don't ask me.
Just don't do the jam session around the fire.
Do the jam session. Just don't expect me to take part.
Okay, I got it.
Maybe I'll play bongos, but no, it's
You like a bit of bongos, huh?
Well, the nice thing about playing percussion is you aren't tied to that stupid chord structure of the blues.
Right.
You can just play.
Do you have a favorite piece of music that you've created? One that you go, wow, this was where it all aligned for me?
I mean, I've had a couple that I'm very proud of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I try not to do anything I'm not proud of, but it was a movie called The Book of Stars, the beautiful, beautiful little movie, and it's a drama, straight up drama. There's not a chuckle in it, and it's what they call a chick flick.
Right. So you got your inner chick on, did you?
Yes. Well, what's the difference? Here's a joke I'm cobbling from some movie I saw. What's the difference between a chick flick and a dude movie?
Estrogen? I don't know.
In a chick flick, it's about one person dying very slowly. A dude movie is about many people dying very quickly.
That's funny. Have you just seen the it's an amazing movie, The Madison with Michelle Pfeiffer?
I can't talk about current movies.
Okay.
Because as an Academy member, but most importantly now as a governor.
Yes, you are. What's the official title?
I'm a governor of the music branch of the Academy.
Okay, wow.
When did
that happen?
I was elected 3 years ago. Almost 3
There's
years
only 3 governors.
of each branch.
Okay. And what kind of things do you have to do under that title?
It's mostly determining the rules of what's acceptable for, in our case, a score or a song. There are rules. It's like, a song has to be original, written for the movie. It can't be something you just dropped in.
Right.
Right? And then how many people, if they win, how many people get a statue?
Right.
You can have,
Okay.
now you get now these, there was a whole thing with the K-pop movie this year.
Right.
There were a lot of writers on that. They were allowed to come up on stage, but they're only handing out 2 Oscars.
Okay. Yeah. Because otherwise, what you're going to have?
It gets ridiculous.
Like, what's the most amount of?
It depends. I mean, they're like I say, they're different branches. Depends
Yeah.
on the branch, how each branch makes their own rules.
Mhm.
So that's what I do
Mhm.
with my fellow governors is
Mhm.
we help shape the rules
Mhm.
of the music branch.
Mhm. Are you enjoying that? Is it
Yeah, I love it.
stimulating to you to?
Well, I love movies.
Mm.
I love movies. I've always loved movies.
Yeah, it seems like as much as you love sounds, you also love visuals. Judging by what you said about your studio, the fact you made it for visuals.
Okay, I'll come back to that.
Mm.
But I love movies. And now this is going to sound funny, and my fellow Academy members are going to kick him out. I don't like the competition of the art. That, why does that person get a statue and this person doesn't?
Mm.
It's so incredibly subjective, and of course we all know that.
Mhm.
When I was a kid, I was put on the yearbook committee in junior high,
Mhm.
and I was like the head of the yearbook committee that year, and I did something that was vastly unpopular. I said, we're not doing the superlatives this year. I wouldn't allow it to be in the yearbook. Best looking, best dressed,
Right.
most likely to succeed. I just thought it's so insulting to everybody else. It's so cheesy. It's so cheap. It's not real.
Mhm.
I just didn't like it. And I still don't like that aspect
Yeah.
of the Oscars.
No, actually, I am. No, I get it, and I hope nobody minds you saying that. But I don't also like that aspect of either the competitiveness or I'm better than you or this person's more famous. I don't like the class system that I thought I'd leave in the UK with the royals. Maybe I shouldn't say that. The fact you find that in the entertainment industry sometimes, I think that's a bit like, didn't we all get in it to be like free and creative
Absolutely.
and a tribe and
Humanity in general likes a horse race. That's why politics always gets down to well, who's got the best poll numbers? Who's the best?
yeah.
But it's such a self-defeating way to look at it.
Mm.
And I feel that way about the arts. But on the other hand, I love that the Oscars are a celebration.
Mm. I like
of the
that as
movies.
well. That's
And
amazing.
that I'm down for.
And exposing even more people to really beautiful movies.
Yes. Which is all changing. By the way, we're changing. We're coming up to the 100th anniversary of the Oscars. In
Wow.
2 more years.
Wow.
And after that, we're moving off of ABC to YouTube.
Wow.
The Oscars
God,
are
what a
gonna be
sign
on
of the
YouTube.
times.
Exactly.
Sign.
And it opens up all sorts of other interesting possibilities, but that's another podcast.
Wow, that is another podcast. Is there anything else that you're really very inspired to do right now? You've done so much. What else do you want to do?
Well, I'm, Caitlin
Mhm.
mentioned to you the Armory of Harmony project.
Yeah, that sounded fascinating.
That's a passion project for me. Armory of Harmony, you can look it up online, armoryofharmony.com. What we do is gather gunmetal
Hmm.
from these buyback programs
Hmm.
that police departments all around the country run. Where they buy back, they're just trying to get guns off the street. And they grind them up and smelt them down.
Hmm.
Well, we get the gunmetal before it gets mixed in with other scrap metals. So it's pure gun steel.
Mm.
And then give it to instrument manufacturers to make musical instruments,
Oh, wow, how
utilizing the
beautiful.
gunmetal,
What a vision.
and then giving them to high schools around the country.
Wow.
That's the vision of it.
Wow.
We got as far as prototypes, and we're
Wow.
proof of concept. We've already acquired some gun steel and done some of this
Mm-hmm.
work, so it works. And the whole thing
Mm-hmm.
worked great.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're trying to raise the funds to make it go big.
Wow, what a beautiful, like I get that sense of alchemy and, probably something you've been doing your whole life, which is taking one thing and making it into another. And that's what you're doing with the guns, making it into music.
I think everybody has a little bit of a synesthesia. You know,
What does synesthesia mean?
synesthesia means where your senses are crossed.
Mm,
Like you taste music,
mm,
you hear architecture,
mm.
which in my case, I do have that. If I see a beautiful building, I hear music
Oh,
in a way.
lovely. Oh, wow, yeah, what a
Because I
lovely
see the
idea.
structure, and it makes me think of chordal structure and harmony. There's a saying that architecture is frozen music.
Oh, beautiful.
And my corollary to that is, well, then music is liquid architecture.
Wow.
So that's synesthesia. That's a
Right,
sense
yeah.
of synesthesia. I'm not claiming to really have that.
So that, in a way, is where you're applying your synesthesia by seeing guns and
And
going,
then
let's make it
turns
into
into
music.
The backstory is I'm involved with an orchestra in the Congo, in Kinshasa,
Oh, wow.
called the Orchestra Symphonique Kimbanguista, or the OSK. It's a 200-piece orchestra and choir, all-black choir, in one of the most impoverished cities in the world, all self-taught. You can look, the 60 Minutes did a piece on them years ago. It was a documentary about them. And I've been helping them out. We've done different things with them. We had an event at the studio many years ago with, and Peter Gabriel came and sang with the chamber group that Ben Affleck flew over. So anyway, as part of that, Ben Affleck's thing was he was funding something called the Eastern Congo Initiative, where they were trying to take guns out of the hands of 12-year-olds that are shooting
my
each other with
God.
AK-47s
Oh, my God.
all over Africa, but especially in the Congo, and then giving them computers and books instead, buying them off, right?
Mm.
And then we're doing this thing with the OSK, me and Ken Cragen and a couple other people. Then wait a minute, they're desperate for materials. I'll bet you we could take these guns and use them somehow, smelt them down and use them. And that became a project called Instruments of Peace
Oh,
in the
beautiful.
Congo. So that idea
Mm.
inspired, years later, the shooting in the Parkland,
Yeah, yeah.
in Florida,
Yeah,
my home state.
yeah.
And one of the kids that was shot and killed was the trombone player in the marching band. And I was the trombone player in the marching band. And so for some reason, finally, that was a part of a long string of, school shootings. But
That
for
was,
some
yeah.
reason, that was like, okay, that's it. And it triggered me, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing I love about these conversations. You realize how imbued violence is in our everyday language.
Mm.
Where it's like trigger, target, it's there. It's all
Mm.
military and violence, gun-based. Anyway, that's what made me start thinking about it. And I kind of put the two ideas together
Mm.
and came up with Armory of Harmony.
Mm.
And the bigger goal is we're not out to, we're apolitical.
Mm-hmm.
We're not out to ban guns.
Mm-hmm.
We're not out to take guns. That's not
Mhm.
what we're about at
Mhm.
all. And one of the reasons, is a little confession here, that I was eager to be a governor,
Mm.
I see, there's this either or argument that goes on
Mm-hmm.
with around guns. Like, well, if we just took away the guns, then we wouldn't have this problem. And I said, well, no. I mean, yes, but no. It's not guns that kill people; it's people that kill people. If it wasn't guns, they'd use something else. There's truth to that.
Mm.
My answer to that is, it's people with guns that kill people.
Yes.
The combination.
Yes.
So what's the societal impact of that?
Mm.
Where does that come from?
Mm.
And what we're out to do is change the mindset of society around guns.
Mm.
And boy, if the arts aren't a big part of that, a huge part of it, movies in particular, video games and all that. This is what gun fanatics will say, it's these violent video games. It's not the guns. And I say, no, it's both. It's everything. Let's approach this holistically and try to get people's minds clear of these little arguments they've created, these little pockets they've put themselves in. Let's all sit down at a table together, and nobody wants kids being shot in school unless you're a true psychopath.
Yeah.
So nobody wants that.
But do you think there is a way to get
Yes.
it reeled back?
Yes.
You do.
I know it.
And through conversation or
Through conversation, there's
just-
some laws. I look at as a model, I look at MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Many years ago, they formed because, for obvious reasons, these mothers and kids are getting killed in drunk driving accidents, right? Well, when I was a kid, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, it was almost a mark of courage to, like, oh, what a macho dude you are, to get drunk at a party and drive home.
Oh, yeah, probably in England, you know.
Well, I'm talking about
the
here.
English like to drink, so.
Well, so everybody does,
Yeah.
I think. But it was like there was nothing wrong with driving drunk. It was like I say, it was almost a badge of courage as a teenager to get drunk and drive home. Now my kids were raised like, what are you talking about? Now, why is that? Why the societal shift? That's my point. There's a societal shift, and largely it's because of the efforts of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. They made it so that the liquor companies, now when they put an ad out, they have to say, use caution, don't drink and drive. Whatever they say, that's been mandated to them. They haven't said alcohol needs to be outlawed. They've just said you've got to put some guardrails on this. And more importantly, change people's perception. It used to be every movie, people smoked in movies.
Right.
You don't see that as much anymore.
Okay, so the conversation would get the violence reeled back.
Yeah, I'm tired of driving down Sunset Boulevard and seeing billboards with some sexy woman with a slit dress and a pistol on her thigh and
Yeah, right.
and a guy holding a gun. It's like, why are we selling that? Why are we selling violence as something cool that we want to see? I know the answer to that when it gets into fear and the amygdala and all this other stuff. People, it's easy to sell bad news. So let's not do what's easy. Let's do what's hard.
Yeah, let's do what's hard.
And it needs to be done, and it can be done. It's worked with alcohol. It's worked with cigarettes.
Yeah.
It can certainly work with guns.
That's such an incredible vision. We'll have to have an event here in Malibu, right?
Yeah, we've done some in the past, and we probably will be doing more in the future.
Yeah.
Right now, we're looking to raise enough funding to where I can build up a good staff, hire a director. That shouldn't be me.
Yeah.
I'm not experienced in the nonprofit world.
You also sounds like you've got a lot going on.
I got enough to do.
You got enough
I got
to
6
do.
grandkids. Are you kidding?
Oh, 6 grandkids. Well, before we finish, we are Confessions in the Cabana. Have you got anything to confess?
No, I've never done anything wrong.
You've never anything to confess that you've never confessed before, Richard.
Well, I certainly wouldn't do it now.
you
but,
wouldn't do it now.
I'm that kind of rare bird in that, at least as a musician, or at least people's perception of musicians, I've never tasted coffee, never smoked a cigarette. I've occasionally will have a beer. When I say occasionally, I mean like once every 6 months.
Right.
I used to work as a bouncer in a bar, believe it or not, in Florida.
Brilliant.
And it really turned me off to alcohol.
Yeah.
So, I'm not.
You're
I'm
very
not,
clean living. Actually, I'm the same.
oh,
I
okay.
was really into the Doors, really into Jim Morrison, but I've never taken any drugs. I rarely drink, and I don't drink that. I drink decaf coffee, so we're in the same.
Well, I don't even. I don't even like the taste of coffee. I don't understand the charm of it.
You know, people complain about the pop music these days and the rap music. What the hell happened?
Money. Money's the corrupter of everything, and it. People somewhere back in I don't know what the 60s were a wild and woolly time, right? I'm old
Mm-hmm.
enough to remember
Mm-hmm.
that. I was a kid, but I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody with money, or very few people with money, were investing into that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was just kind of allowed to grow into what it became,
Mm.
and allowed to turn into the Doors and the
Mm-hmm.
Beatles and whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jazz, all sorts of stuff was just like, it was just growing for art's sake.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere along the line, probably really in the 80s, record companies and publishing companies and so on became run by accountants and lawyers, not by musicians, by and large.
And so then it was what's going to make the most money.
Yes, and the fastest.
So to any young artist starting out,
Studied the law. I was speaking at Columbia College in Chicago. I was asked to come do some stuff there, and I was speaking to this room full of, wannabe
yeah,
record producers.
yeah,
And that was one of the questions. What should we be doing? And this is like 10 years ago. And I said, study internet law.
wow,
You want to make money. If you want to make money,
yeah,
stop what you're doing right now. 'Cause
right,
You're not going to make money.
right,
The growth industry is internet law.
yeah,
And that was many years ago, but
yeah,
it's still true. But the one thing that my own career is an example of, I've spoken to many classrooms of wannabe composers, wannabe producers, and I've always said the one thing I really, really encourage you to do is to learn a lot of skills. Because what you're learning what you think you're going to do right now,
is maybe not
probably not what you're going to
right,
end up doing 10 years from now.
right.
I don't know what's going to happen. I've written a book that we haven't put out yet. I have high hopes for. It's going to be pretty cool.
What's it called?
That's the title is probably the best part. I've co-written it with my sister, who is an Episcopalian priest
Wow,
in Georgia. My
wow.
little sister. Anyway, the book is called God versus Music.
Oh, beautiful. I
And
like that.
And it's about the collisions and collusions
Mm.
between organized religion and music throughout history and in current times.
Oh, how brilliant.
In Afghanistan, you get your hands cut off for playing an accordion.
Wow.
It's against the law to play music in
Wow.
Afghanistan. Against the law. But there are versions of it right here in Malibu. Church of Christ. Pepperdine University is Church of Christ.
Right.
Many, many years ago, a surfer friend of mine was getting married, asked me to be the best man. And as best man, you're supposed to help organize things, make sure everything's cool, and make sure your friend keeps his head on straight. And I said, "What are you doing for music?" I said, "I don't know." And so we're in the chapel, and I asked somebody there, it's like, "Well, what if I bring in somebody to play acoustic guitar?" Or there was no organ in the chapel, no organ. And the person representing the chapel that was there said, "No, you can't do that." So what do you mean? You cannot have instrumental music in a Church of Christ chapel. It's against our edict. You can have vocal music only because that's closer to God. You can have
Wow.
choir, but you cannot have.
Wow.
That's why there's no organ. At least there wasn't then
Wow.
in that chapel.
I think it's interesting just in terms of one is organized and one is,
Disorganized.
well, I guess beautiful music is very organized,
The music itself is,
Yeah,
but the culture around it isn't.
right.
And so here was the original. This is the intro to the book. I tell this story, 100% true story. Oingo Boingo was playing a place called the Golden Bear in Huntington Beach, which is no more now. But at the time, it was the biggest club there. I don't remember, probably seated 800 or so people. We're doing sound check. We're a big band, 8-piece band. We're loud and rowdy. We had really rowdy audiences. Like people went off, for our shows. And we're doing sound check in the late afternoon. And while we're doing sound check, the staff is putting little two-tops, little tables all over the dance floor with chairs. And probably Danny, I don't remember who, but I'm going to say it was Danny, our singer, said, "Wait, what are you guys doing?" And he said, "Well, we're putting out tables." I said, "I can see that you're doing that. Why?" This is going to be filled with kids pogoing tonight, right? Those tables are going to be turned into toothpicks in no time. And they said, not tonight, tonight. I said, what are you talking about? I said, dancing is against the law tonight. The law was you could have a nightclub, you could sell alcohol, you could have live music, you could have dancing. Pick any two. You can't have all three.
Wow.
So that's called a blue law.
A blue law.
Blue law. Blue laws have been here since the Puritans came to the United States. And there are many aspects of it. There are still cities, towns in the United States where no alcohol is allowed at all. There are towns where there's still laws where you can't have a liquor store open on a Sunday. Or if it's open on Sunday, it can't open until after 1:30 when the church is let out.
Wow.
They are there to encourage people to go to church, not to get drunk. I'm not saying it's a bad thing necessarily, but let's be aware of it and how that has affected music and musicians, even in these little ways. But then it's a continuum from there to the Taliban killing people for singing.
Right, yeah.
Literally killing people for singing.
Yeah.
To this day. We interviewed a guy who started a music school, co-ed, which was controversial too, in Kabul during the time when the U.S. was running Afghanistan.
Wow.
And so there was this kind of, spring, as it were, of, wow, we can actually, women don't have to wear all this garb and they can study. And we can have music in the streets. People can play music and learn music and do all this. And he started this. And then when we left just a couple years ago, the Taliban comes right back in. And the first thing they did was go after musicians in school. And this guy...
oh, that's so sad.
The guy, that's a chapter in the book. And we interviewed him. And he tells the story of a Taliban fanatic at a concert outside of Afghanistan, strapped a bomb to himself and blew himself up a few rows in back of him.
Oh my God.
That's how fanatical
Crazy
people
fanaticism, yeah.
But that fanaticism is all the way through the Catholic Church. Every church, if you dig far enough, you find that in there. And it's an interesting study.
What would you tell your younger self? If you were going to have a conversation...
It's a short one that I didn't learn until too late. So it's like I made some bad choices in my career for money. And one of the great lines of all people was from Kobe Bryant. First time I heard anybody say this. Kobe Bryant was being interviewed as he's walking down the hallway. Oh, are you going to rejoin the Lakers or whatever it was? It was I think at the time he was a free agent and there was all this discussion going, what's going to happen with Kobe? And Kobe was very wisely not entering into the conversation. And he said something to him about it. And he turned to the camera and he goes, don't chase money, let money chase you.
Oh,
wow.
Wow, brilliant.
I wish I had heard that when I was 20.
Right.
So, yeah, there's certain things that I've done that were mistakes I made in my career because I went for the money. Somebody showed me the money, and I fell for it, and I wish I hadn't. In retrospect, they weren't fatal mistakes, but things could have been better.
Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
This has been such a pleasure. It's actually such a pleasure to get to know you better because I've always seen you at the Composer's Breakfast.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to get inside your creative soul and your creative mind and, a little bit, as much as you can in an hour.
No, that's
and
as deep as I am. That's as far as it goes. There's no more to it.
Oh, everybody just loves you, Richard. You're
very kind.
Loved.
You're very kind.
And I really appreciate this, like sitting down with me and I hope we're going to do some drumming and howling at the moon at your place or
jam session.
Yeah, I'm always up for anything that's fun, actually. So anything.
Oh my.
Anything that's fun, let me know about, and I'll do the same.
Yeah, that's what I always say when somebody wants to hire me or do something. I say, as long as it's fun.
Yeah. At this point in our lives, right? You can't do anything that's not fun.
But it should be in any point in your life. But yes. If it's
Right,
not,
at
if
any
it's not,
point.
if it's not fun, don't do it.
No, I think I had that right from the start because I lived in that cave and I did sing rock and
Yeah.
roll until it wasn't fun anymore, and then I
Yeah,
came
move
out
it
to
on.
Malibu.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.